It was a typical Thursday evening when Emma came rushing into the living room. Her eyes wide with excitement, she had just received a call from her boss Greg, inviting her on a business trip to New York. He had been hinting for weeks that this opportunity might come up, but when it finally did, Emma was absolutely elated. The trip was a huge deal, a chance to not only advance her career, but to network with high-profile clients, attended exclusive events, and maybe even get a promotion. She couldn't stop gushing about it. I had known Emma for 3 years now. Married for 2 on the surface, everything seemed perfect. She was an ambitious, hard-working woman, and I admired her drive. But lately, something had felt off. We had our share of small arguments, and while they were typical for a relationship, the last few weeks had felt like she was emotionally distant. This business trip seemed like a good excuse for her to be away for a few days, and I wasn't sure if I liked that. As she packed for her trip, I pretended to be happy for her. "It's a great opportunity," I said, plastering on a smile inside, though my mind was racing. I had a feeling that something wasn't right. There was a strange tension between Emma and her boss, one I couldn't quite place, but I had my suspicions. Greg was charming, older, and always seemed to go out of his way to praise Emma. I had noticed him exchanging private messages and lingering too long at work events. The red flags were there, but I had no solid proof. I couldn't shake the feeling that this trip was more than just a business opportunity for her. What if it was an excuse for Emma and Greg to finally act on whatever was brewing between them? That's when I decided to play a different game. I had a plan, something I had kept secret, and this trip would be the perfect chance to put into motion the night before she left. I acted supportive, telling her how proud I was of her. "I'll miss you," I said softly. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and left for the airport early the next morning. As she walked out the door, I couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. I had to know what was really going on while she was away. I knew Emma's routine. She always checked in with me when she arrived at the hotel, so when she texted me that evening saying everything was going smoothly, I decided to act as if everything was normal. But I had secretly arranged for a close friend of mine, Jake, who worked in the tech industry, to install a tracking device on her phone while she was out. It wasn't illegal, but it felt invasive. Still, I had to know the truth a few days into the trip. I saw the real story unfolding. Emma was meeting Greg more than she had let on. They dined together, attended fancy parties, and spent hours talking alone. The final straw came when I saw a picture of Emma looking radiant in a low-cut dress, with her arm around Greg at an upscale rooftop bar. I couldn't help but feel a wave of jealousy and betrayal surge through me. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I watched and waited for the right moment to strike. The night before, Emma was scheduled to return home. I made my move. I called her pretending to be casual, but I could tell from her voice that something was off. She had a slight hesitation in her tone, and I knew she was hiding something. I told her I was coming to pick her up at the airport, and her response was far too quick. "No, it's fine. I'll take a cab." That was the moment I knew for sure. When she finally returned home the next day, I confronted her. I wasn't angry, at least not on the outside. I remained calm and collected. "So how was the trip?" "Tell me everything." She started with the usual corporate talk, the meetings, the dinners, the networking. But there was something in her eyes. She hesitated before getting into the details of her time with Greg. I asked her bluntly if she had spent time alone with him, and her face turned pale. I didn't think it mattered," she stammered. That's when I revealed everything I knew. "I know you were with him more than you told me. I saw the pictures, the messages, everything." Emma froze, the color draining from her face. I wasn't expecting this," she whispered, looking down at the floor. I leaned in my voice, calm, but stern. "You thought I wouldn't find out, didn't you? You thought you could pull this off without me noticing." But I was watching for the first time in our relationship. I saw the shock and guilt in her eyes. She stammered, trying to explain, but the words didn't come out right. The truth was undeniable. It wasn't just a business trip. Emma had been playing with fire, and I had known all along the confrontation wasn't dramatic. I didn't yell or throw anything, but the impact of my words hit her hard. I wasn't just hurt, I was smarter than she thought. I wasn't going to be the fool she could walk all over after that night. Things between us were never the same. Emma tried to apologize, but the trust was broken. She hadn't just betrayed me emotionally, she had underestimated my ability to see through the lies. And as for Greg, well, I made say.